Hi there. My name is Kay Moon, and I'm a Western astrologer and Twin Flame channel. And this is a video about the Gemini New Moon taking place on June 6th at 8:37 a.m. If you happen to be on the eastern seaboard of the United States, please check a time zone converter for your local time. This will be the energy update for the Divine Connection, Counterpart, and Twin Flame Collective. Couple of announcements before we begin. The reading calendar is open. So if you would like to book a reading, you can do so over at kmoonastro.com. 30-minute and 60-minute readings are available to help you navigate as we get into the second half of this year. Secondly, our beloved friends Lee and Sherry are still recovering from the house fire that they experienced. The link to their channel is below this video, where you can catch up with them and see what the current needs are. Thank you to everyone who has so generously donated or gifted anything to them to help them make it through this challenging time. It is very appreciated. Third, as many of you know who are regulars here on this channel, the last lunar update I provided, I did change the format where I provided the update generally for the lunation and then provided information for all 12 signs. The comment section delivered. Gotta love you guys for being so vocal. Thank you. I will be doing on Friday of this week, so June 7th, a live conversation about the other energies available at this lunation. So if you missed that component of readings, that will remain. I'm just going to do it live and separate from each lunar update so that you can have both all 12 signs, and you can have the detailed information about the other planetary informations. At the end of the Lightworker energy update, where I did provide info for all 12 signs, I did also provide the standard first look at the next lunation, which will be the full moon in Capricorn on June 21st. So if you're curious how this energy progresses from there, please have a listen to that. Timestamps will be below the video. As always, this lunar update for the Twin Flame and Divine Connection Collective operates as a part two to the lunar update provided for the entire Lightworking Collective. So I encourage you to have a listen to that first and then come back and listen to this so that you have an understanding about why I am interpreting the planetary energies for Divine Masculine and Feminine the way I am doing so during this lunar update. As always, thank you for your likes, your shares, and subscribes. I always appreciate that. Now, this new moon takes place at the 16th degree of Gemini, right there. And it is connected to Venus with a trine to Chariklo, which brings in blessings, a square to Saturn and Juno, our divine feminine energy, which constitutes a T square. And this opens up a significant level of, oh, how can we put it? A significant level of tension when it comes to our love connections, specifically because it is a time for doing something new. Because this is a new beginning in connection, love, and value in the sign of the twins, lots of communication, lots of exploration, curiosity, possibility, and potential are opening up here. Okay. And it opens this up in a way that many of the other lunations this year have not permitted that. Many of the other lunations this year for the Divine Counterpart Collective have been a lot about internal change, some about union here in the third dimension, but much of it about union via some internal transformation and growth. This is where we start to see, especially because Juno is no longer retrograde, she hasn't been since April, we really start to see an opportunity for the divine counterparts to stabilize in the material world, opportunities for the connection to thrive. Now, This moon is very heavy-handed when it comes to bringing forward newness in the world of love and money because of the way it features both Venus and Juno in connection to the new moon. So please have a listen to the Lightworker Energy Update introduction and your sun, moon, and rising to get a full picture of what this is going to mean for you. When reading for the divine counterparts, I use Juno for the divine feminine, as she is the married wife of the god of Mount Olympus, Jupiter. And if you wouldn't mind, definitely give this video a thumbs up as it really helps the algorithm circulate. So let's have a look at what Juno is up to at this lunation. She is square to the full moon in Gemini. She is opposite Saturn conjunct Nessus there in Pisces, and she is also trine Pholus here in Capricorn. Now, if you've been with me for some period of time, you know we have been talking about Juno and Virgo and this Pholus connection, which has been a lot about releasing toxicity that we ourselves hold and participate in via the process of repeating patterns, like recognizing that something is not working in the world of the third dimension, and then insisting that we just continue to do the non-working thing ad infinitum. Okay. Because the divine feminine is featured at this lunation in the way that she is, it makes the lessons in leadership unfolding in the divine feminine energetic fields central to the collective energies. With Juno square this new moon energy, there can be some tension when it comes to accessing the ease and new beginnings available. In order to receive these ease and new beginnings, there will be a need to balance out the way we're communicating in partnership, as well as any boundaries around work life and higher spiritual identity that need to be made so that your connection can deepen. It would be very easy to move through this lunation and overwork or over spiritualize what's happening in the connection and miss this opportunity to take things further in the third dimension, assuming that's something you desire. So, in order to rectify this, there's a call in the divine feminine energy fields to lean into clarity about what you want in your connection. And let me be clear, you can have whatever you want: friendship, no friendship, co parenting, no co parenting, kids, no kids, living together, not living together, married, not married, whatever you want, you can have it. But to simply say, oh, I want union, not clear. There are many formats for that and various types of union. To say you want to be married and living under the same roof, that is clearer. Clarity will reign supreme as a tool for getting the most out of this new moon in your connection, as Juno is featured in this T square between the new moon, Saturn, and Juno, with no occupation of planetary luminary in the sign of clarity, Sagittarius. So to resolve the T square's tension, we ourselves have to make Sagittarian choices. And I walk through the details of that in the Lightworker Energy Update. With regard, to getting those needs met and having that clarity, it's going to be necessary to be able to share once you know what you want with another person. So with regard to this conversation in particular, I strongly recommend either Allison Armstrong's Understanding Men and Understanding Women's programs. There are phenomenal scripts for communication in both programs that can help you get what you want in connection. And if that just the title alone is just way too heteronormative for you, please consider Thais Gibson's Personal Development School. You can Google Personal Development School, it'll come right up. She offers 3 levels of classes around needs: one for clarifying your needs, one for meeting your own needs, and one for understanding what's your responsibility. And then the final class is about being able to communicate your needs to other people in connection. Both sets of classes from both teachers are Googleable, and ultimately, the scripts for communication are near identical in each program. No matter which path you take, they definitely work. And if the psychotherapeutic or coaching route is not for you, we can always look at your chart in a reading, as your chart does reveal your true needs and connection, your true match for a partnership versus just what you're attracted to. Because many times for people, these are two very different types of people. And your chart can also reveal your pathway to facilitating union, however you define it, based on your own personal timeline and blueprint. You can book with me over at kmoonastro.com. The link is below this video. I mentioned in some previous videos that we are now in a new season with a new doorway to union. The access point is through the sign of Aries in your chart. So understanding where the sign of Aries sits, what house it governs, and the Aries actions and behaviors required are going to help you navigate and reset the magnetics in your connection to calibrate toward union if that's something you want, defined in the way that is appropriate for you. Clarity, again, is king or queen, if you want to put it in whatever terms work for you. Now, for those of you who are already in some format of established connection in the third dimension, this new moon will challenge both people's divine feminine energy to be more transparent, more honest, and more truthful with the other person about their desires and needs. The astrology of this new moon speaks to a lot of growth that has already happened. And if there is any disconnect in the third dimension between you and another person, it may be because there's a lack of clarity about the new you and your new needs. Rather than getting upset with the other person because they're not meeting your needs, this is the opportunity, especially with Saturn, which governs responsibility and accountability, to take that responsibility to clarify what has changed for you, communicate it directly and transparently, and ask for what your needs are. And then also to listen with curiosity. Again, curiosity, clarity, communication, all features of Gemini. Okay. New boundaries or a new structure to the format of the connection may be needed for both people to thrive in this next chapter through the divine feminine energy fields because of Saturn's heavy featuring during this particular lunation. Saturn governs boundaries and structure. Juno here governs the commitment. New structure, new boundaries, new moon, new communication. Now, for those of you who identify your connection in some format of separation, this new moon will have your divine feminine energy fields working in overdrive, likely overthinking about what's happening, overthinking why it's happening, overthinking where it's all going and where it could go, and what's your real desire for it in terms of where it goes. You may find that your dream state is particularly active when it comes to your person. For those of you who have prophetic dreams, you may find these dreams particularly revealing about currently open timelines available for you to solidify. For those of you for whom the dream space is a processing and digestion space, you may notice some repeating messages about the truth of where you're at and what you want and what you need. Pay attention. Pay attention to the symbols, pay attention to the feelings, and pay attention to the insights you get as they are trying to help you clarify what needs to happen next in your personal life to take the connection to the next step. Okay. Again, if you need any assistance with clarifying this in your chart, then let's talk. You can always book a reading with me at kmoonastro.com. Link is below this video. Please, please, please avoid the propensity to over spiritualize this. We have moved into a very concrete season in the third dimension between counterparts. And by over spiritualize, what I mean is to take everything that's happening in your intuition or your dream state as some format of belonging to the other person. They came to visit me. They put an idea in my head. They sent me this message. Utilize this to really harness the power in this for your ability to move your connection further into the third dimension. Take some accountability, some responsibility. What is this showing me about what I can do, how I can communicate to move things deeper? Like I said, if you need some help with that, we can talk about that via the access point of your chart when you book a personal reading. Now, let's have a look at the divine masculine energy, Jupiter at this location, this lunation. So here's Jupiter right here at that second degree of Gemini, just behind the new moon energy. Jupiter is in trine to Pluto in Aquarius. Pluto's all about power and owning power and the trine position. We've got a sextile to Neptune in Pisces here. This is all about some spiritual awareness, awakening, and access. We've got an opposition to Pallas here, self-protection at the late degrees of Scorpio, a sextile to Vesta here in Cancer, all about emotional connectivity and range. And we have this lovely conjunction to Uranus, which is now waning. There's a deeper exploration here about your value as a person in the divine masculine energy fields and your value to another person, happening in a very thoughtful way. This new moon is bringing out the curiosity and possibility in the divine masculine energy fields as Jupiter connects with Mercury in Mercury's home sign, Gemini. This constitutes a bit of an awakening for our divine masculine energy fields that is both spiritual through the connection with Neptune and Pisces, emotional through the connection with Vesta and Cancer, vibrational through the connection to Uranus, and intellectual through the connection with Mercury. This awakening has been underway since March and more and in a more heightened fashion since April as Jupiter and Uranus made their conjunction at the end of Taurus, the sign of values and our heart's desires. This constitutes an activation of unseen proportions as clarity cascades through our divine masculine energy fields about what we want and what it's going to cost us to get there. This also reads like a growth spurt where tremendous growth seems to happen all at once and nearly overnight when it comes to the recognition of who we are and our value in the world. For now, you may be feeling slightly self-protective in connection as you explore this new space with Pallas opposite Jupiter here. And you may need a little extra time to yourself to orient yourself to the upgrades that have unfolded. In my clairvoyance, this is presented a lot like downloading a zip file full of new programs in the way you run your computer. The programming for your life got a whole new set of instructions over the course of April and May with the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. Those instructions now need to be integrated into your system, and this is going to take time. Because the energy has been significantly buzzy, electric, catalytic, you may have noticed that you need extra sleep. Or you may have noticed the opposite. You've been completely unable to sleep, with more of that coming to a close the further Jupiter gets away from Uranus and Neptune. So by the time we get to the end of June, we see Jupiter moving much further into Gemini, releasing connection to Uranus and Neptune and allowing Jupiter's energy to have more of its spiritual capacity play out in the third dimension. But as this is happening, you may notice with some certainty, you've changed. You're not the same person you were as recently as March or February. And because of this, the nature of the way you're operating in connection has likely changed as well. For those who are in an established connection in the third dimension, with this energy, you may notice you have a lot on your mind and a lot to say, and looking for an opening in which you can share all that you're realizing. You may also find that because things are a bit busy in the third dimension, you feel pulled in multiple different directions. And this can be a very social time now that the conjunction to Uranus is waning. This is fostering for you a new beginning in your social circle, likely with some new boundaries, of course, because Saturn is showing up and showing out at this new moon. Some new boundaries are underway. Things that may have previously worked in your divine masculine energy fields in terms of providing for certain people's needs and connection, protecting certain people's feelings, giving them grace about their comfort zone, which happens to make you their doormat or you their savior. You may find at this time that you're guided to renegotiate those terms so that you can exist in more of your connections. Now, for those of you who identify in some format of separation in the third dimension, you may find that this new moon opens up a way for you to start exploring the love options available to you in the third dimension and what you need to do to be open to those options. If you've been in a separation rut, but feeling yourself truly ready for greater connection, especially when it comes to soul tribe and union within a community, this new moon will open up the door for many of those connections to be made over the next 30 days or provide the activation in your system that lets you know you're ready to move forward in love, ready to have some new friends, regardless of what may or may not be happening with a counterpart who's not available. For many, in either case, you may feel a sensation of groundlessness, formlessness, even emptiness in a good way, or a lack of charge surrounding old memories, a heightened state of neutrality and nothingness. For some of you, you may respond to that with restlessness as the space opens up for you to be reflected back to you in your life through all of your connections. You've grown, and as such, the shape of your connections are going to need to expand to accommodate that growth as well. If you need any support navigating what's next, you can always book a reading with me at kmoonastro.com to get insight from your own chart and blueprint so you can understand how to use this energy to your advantage given what comes next. And as always, thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing if you're new. Thank you for sharing. And if you've heard something that resonates, please give the video a thumbs up because it helps move the video along in the algorithm. Thank you so much. Take great care and bye for now.